If I had told you a couple months ago that you'd be in Lithuania playing professional basketball, what would you have said?
I would say that's cool. I'm ready for it.
I mean, because
that's like, not everybody gets to be a professional basketball player, so that's just good information to hear.
What's good, YouTube? It's your main man, AB the Hero, back again with another video. And I realized that I had not given you all an update on LiAngelo Ball after he was didn't get drafted into the G League draft. And what I want to do today is take some time to put in context where he's at this moment within the basketball career, and then what are some of the potential steps and hurdles that maybe he may be having to deal with in the future. Let's get into it.
And I'm hanging out with my dude, AB the Hero.
What's up?
We getting it down in the Ball State, baby.
Hey.
AB, way to get out of the lane. How you get out of the lane?
What do you thought about that, Jay?
I like that. Yeah, I told you, he's a hustler for it.
Let's go. I'm out.
Oh yeah, you a great player.
All right, so before we get started, man, I want to make sure you all subscribe to the channel, show some love. We almost at 7,000 subs, so if you're watching this video, we haven't hit 7,000 subs, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, help your boy out. Also, we trying to get to 10K. That's the real goal. Help me get there. If we pass 7,000 when you're watching this, smash the sub button, because we damn near almost at our goal then of getting 10K. And let's get into this Jello Ball video. So what inspired me to kind of talk about this topic right now is I was watching a video over on DJ's Raw Uncut Truth, and they pretty much do a live stream twice a day. And one of their latest lives, they were talking about LiAngelo Ball's career, and I felt like it was a great conversation about his career, but there were just some points that I wanted to jump in there and add to the conversation. I could not join the live that day. I was busy at work doing some things, so I'm going to give y'all some information in this video as what I would have added to that conversation. First off, my dog Jello Ball definitely got a raw deal this year with the Detroit Pistons and not being able to touch the court. Allegedly there was some type of ankle injury before that final game before he got waived that he would have potentially played in if he had not had that ankle injury. Then we go to the GLeague Bubble, and there's so many different stipulations and rules. The bubble is open to so many different new players that probably wouldn't potentially have played in the bubble in the past, but then also constricted to a smaller amount of total players who could potentially play in the G League. So all of these things affected LiAngelo Ball's current situation, and is all lead to the fact of why he's not playing currently. So a lot of the conversation that they were having over there on DJ's channel with DKM and Revolution Radio is about Jello potentially going overseas and how he should be going overseas right now. That should be his next move. And then the question kind of turned into whether or not he would be willing to even take that opportunity to go overseas, because it seems that he's so adamantly trying to get into the NBA and the G League and really focused on that. It's kind of that Jello, that NBA or bust mentality. And so what I wanted to add to that conversation is a few things. Obviously, we have not seen Jello play since about 2018. I want to say the JBA International Tour final game was probably over there in Romania is the last time we've seen him in organized 5-on-5 basketball. In those final games in that tour, he was dominating and doing his thing. We did know that he had an ankle injury, had surgery, pretty much sat out 2019 because of that, and was prepared to make his comeback in the 2019-2020 season. He was going to play in the G League. Before he could touch the court, COVID happened, canceled the G League season. This year comes and joins the Detroit Pistons. Everybody's excited about that. Gets waived before he can even touch the court in a preseason game. then is hype and excited to potentially get into the G League, and there's so many different restrictions and things around the GLeague bubble, and kind of creates a situation where folks have said that in a normal year Jello would be playing in the G League right now. In a normal year we would have seen Jello in the summer league, and this is important because in a normal year, for most players who have the have an opportunity to play in the G League or in some type of pro league, even overseas, the way the schedule is set up gives you some space to weigh some different options. So in this video they talked about Jello and his lack of a plan A, plan B, plan C, but without putting in context that this year took away a lot of international players plan A, plan B, plan C. Now what I mean by that is typically the draft, NBA draft, happens in after March Madness, after the NBA season, so over the summer, right before we get to summer league. So if you are a typical prospect, you know, like, if I don't get drafted, let me see where I landed at, right? And you know what your NBA opportunities look like. Then you go to the summer league. Hopefully you get on the summer league team, you get to play some ball. If you don't, you really get a picture of where your chances are to play in the NBA or potentially the G League. Then you come around, and before a lot of seasons start, right, there's an opportunity to get into the G League draft. There's an opportunity to get into preseason camps and all of those things. So you have a lot of information, so you can have a couple hands in different pots. I've seen the same situation with my man Curtis Hollis, who I've talked about, played in the G League, played in the JBA as well with Jello, then went and played in Germany, and was spending this year preparing to be potentially in the NBA draft or the G League or some of those things. And what ended up happening to a lot of these guys who are waiting around to get into this G League draft or into this NBA bubble that they have now is you ended up putting all your eggs in one basket, right? And what I mean by that is, if you look at the Euro League currently, which is one of the top leagues in the world, obviously is the second best league outside of the NBA. They're in week 20 at this point, right? So they've been playing basketball for a long time. If you look at the LCB Liga League, right, they're in they've got a 38 week season, and they're in week, let me see, I'm gonna tell you here, they're in week 22, right? If you go to the ABA League, which I believe is the let me see, where is that at? First division of basketball in Yugoslavia. So it's just another random league. They are in week 15 of 26. The Euro Cup has already been playing a ton. So what I say that is, a lot of these leagues, well, let's see, the Euro Cup is, yeah, you know, the way that they do it, they have a few different seasons, but basically a lot of these international leagues have already played a ton of basketball. Even the LKL, in which the Ball brothers played in before, they started their season back in September. So what you would have normally seen is a guy like LiAngelo Ball would have came out of the summer league with a few different options. Am I going to pursue this NBA track? How does that look for me at this point, based on my play in summer league, based on if I even got an opportunity to play in summer league, and then let me go make a decision that way. You see that rarely you find these occasions where back in, I think it was 2017, when the Ball brothers ended up signing to go play in the LKL. Halfway through that season, you had the worst team in the league who had some injuries and needed players. Perfect time, and things lined up in a perfect way, and LiAngelo Ball got an opportunity, and LaMelo Ball got an opportunity to go over there and play. So I say that to say, a lot of times the perspective of what's happening gets shifted when it's like, now we at this point where LiAngelo doesn't get drafted, right? But we seem to discount the fact that the circumstances of him not getting drafted in the G League is because the circumstances are not normal. It's not a talent or ability thing. Most folks believe that he would have played in the G League season if he was given a true opportunity to do so. Now, the final thing that I would like to talk about and address is one of the big differences between the journey or the path that all of those brothers took to get to where they are. Melo and Zoe being in the NBA and Jello not being in the NBA has a lot to do with mentorship, right? And so when those guys got opportunities to play professionally, most of them, Melo and Zoe, had people in their life helping them and guiding their careers. Now, I'm not saying that Jello does not have a representation, because we know that he and Melo are both signed with Roc Nation, so they are helping him, right? But when you go back, there's an interview that Shannon did with, there's an interview that LeVar did with Shannon, and he talked about Jello getting an opportunity on the OKC Blue, and he says that he got that opportunity without any representation. So now with Roc Nation in his corner, he should have a better shot at getting a spot on the G League or in the NBA, right? Now, there's a difference between representation and mentorship. The difference between LaMelo Ball's situation and the gift and one of the hugest, biggest benefits that he got is his relationship with Jermaine Jackson. Folks believe that Melo went to Australia on his own, became an individual, and started to do things by himself, when actuality, he went over there. You heard LeVar talk about this as well. Folks said, LeVar, you step back. And he said, no, Jermaine Jackson is acting as an arm of me. If I am not there and he's there, it's the same as me being there. So it's not like Melo just traveled overseas by himself and then figured everything out. That is one of the biggest differences between what we see with LiAngelo Ball. Right now, if you keep up with Ball and the family, keep up with certain things, even in that same interview with Shannon, you hear LeVar say, Jello was at the house and I had to tell him, go train with Jermaine and Melo. Once Jello left Detroit, I seen him with Lonzo training in New Orleans. So you see that, you look at the trajectory, and if you look at Lonzo, he had Demo, who was a manager and a friend and a bit older than him, with him at all times. Also during that time, they all had Alan Foster, who was helping making some decisions. So you had LeVar, Demo, Alan Foster all helping Zoe, and then now you have Jermaine Jackson, LeVar all pouring into Melo. And when it comes to Jello, you don't have that mentor that you had with the other brothers. So I think that that's something that cannot be overstated. When we start talking about, does Jello have enough heart, or is he interested enough to just go overseas and play ball, which I will admit that a lot of players do that all the time by themselves, leave college and go overseas. But it's a bit different situation than what Melo did when him and his handler, or his manager I should say, Jermaine Jackson, went overseas, when RJ Hampton went overseas with his whole entire family to play basketball. So I think that Jello would do it. There's that Jeff Goodman interview where he's talking to LiAngelo and he asks him, how would you feel if I told you 6 months ago you'd be playing basketball in Lithuania professionally? And LiAngelo Ball chuckles, laughs, and is like, that would be the best thing ever, because it would be nice to know. A lot of people do not get an opportunity to play professional basketball, and he was excited to have that opportunity. I do not believe that he has lost that spark and that will and that want to just be a professional basketball. But I believe that there is this thing where if you have an opportunity to play in the dream league, in the league that everybody wants to play in, the one that you imagine yourself being a part of for years and years and years, you have to go after that. You don't get to be an NBA player by halfway being an NBA player. When you look at a lot of these guys who are in the NBA who rap, you see fans say, bro, why are you rapping? You're supposed to be trying to be a basketball player, honing your craft and perfecting the game. So when you start talking about these guys who are halfway in and making plan B and C and D and all of that stuff, you really take out the fact that in order to be at the most elite level of playing basketball, you really got to believe in that. You got to put all your chips on the table, and you got to consistently go all in and year out. It's your main man.
Be the hero. No, not peace. +1, triple B's. We out.